Hey everyone. So in this video, we will be mostly learning how we can do a network call in SwiftUI. So initially, when we start the network call in the SwiftUI, in the beginning, it may feel difficult. So I'll be just trying to making it simple for you guys. So a lot of people may came from other background like from JavaScript background or for me like some people came from Flutter background. So in the JavaScript, mostly the network call can be used for the access, or we can do fetch. And for the Flutter, mostly we normally use HTTP or DO kind of packages. But in SwiftUI, how we deal those kind of network requests, and we'll be going to that part. So we'll be making a simple HTTP call to endpoint and getting the data. So before going to the coding part, I just wanted to introduce Apple developer documentation that is mostly related to URL session. So this URL session, if you go to the developer .apple.com and the documentation of URL session, you'll see this is a class provided by SwiftUI and an object that coordinate a group of related network data transfer tasks. So this is mostly related to a data transfer task. And if you scroll down and see this overview section, the URL section class is class and related classes provide an API for downloading data and uploading data to endpoint indicated by the URLs. So whatever task we normally do from the JavaScript page or Flutter, HTTP and Dart, that is mostly will be dealing with URL session in our Swift UI. So how that work? So let's just try to do some coding here and we'll see how it practically works. Okay. So I'll be opening my Xcode and I have some predefined code written. I'll be showing it to you guys as well. I have this post class. You see, I have marked it as identifiable and codable. And normally, if you see from a JSON data which we receive, that has a associated key. That whatever key we will be having in the JSON, that we can define it over here. So this is a post class, which is simple post class written in my Swift. Now we'll be getting the data from a particular endpoint. That endpoint I have my local host which is running over this port. So if I refresh, I'll see this lot of posts I am getting. Similarly, I have some other endpoint like let's say hello. So these are the endpoint which I have that is running in my local host, and I have opened this project in my VS Code. So if we simply do a GET request in JavaScript or in any other framework locally, we'll be getting this data and we'll be implementing same thing to our Swift UI. So as I said earlier, I have this post code written that identifiable and codable. Those are two mostly just to identify the object and making this codable will be kind of will be able to decode it from the data which we are receiving from the internet. That we'll see as well. And I have this feed view. If I do the refresh, that has nothing right now, as we don't have anything implemented over here. And I have this feed card that is mostly taking a post object and it is painting the UI with the for loop. And I have this MVVM feed view model. There we will be implementing the get request for this post. So let's go to our view model and let us create a function over here and let's call it get post. Okay. So this will be giving all the post data from the internet. And let's call the post as well over here. So as usual, we have to define our URL. So let us just define our URL first. So Xcode has recently introduced this autocomplete code that we can use as well for our use case. So I just do this one, and I'll take this portion of the URL and put it over here. So you see, this is the URL which we are constructing from a string, and this is not gonna be something or null. That's why you can keep it this way as well, but we'll be guarding it. We'll be just returning from here. So this is our URL configuration is done that we normally do in our HTTP request of Dart or Flutter, like const API is equal to some API, and then we do fetch kind of API. Those things we normally do in our JavaScript. Now here our URL configuration is done. See, we have this URL object. If you go to the documentation and open this as well, so you can go and see its documentation as well for the URL. Okay, so for now, what we will be doing, we'll be going to the next step, what we need to do. So we saw the class that is URLSession class, and it has an instance. If you read over here, the singletons uh, class, that singleton instance, that is shared session over here. So this will mostly able to mostly help to do kind of networking operation, which are mostly in the basics level. So we can deal with this shared class. So what we have to do, we have to make a singleton of this shared, let's say world session dot shared. If we do dot data and see, we are getting a couple of option. Okay, so this data from we can use it, and with this data we'll having the data from the internet. We can download it in the background as well, or we can download on loading of the application. So when the application will be loading, we'll be putting the data into the UI and we'll be showing it over there. So let us just do this data class, and we have provided the URL as well, and we'll be getting whatever it's returned. We can do try as well. I'll be putting this one over here, and this will mostly return our data like this way. can just print the error for now. Now our data is ready mostly from the internet. We need to deal with the data. Whatever we do normally convert it to a JSON. So that we'll be doing over here. So let us understand that decoded data is equal to. So you see, I'm getting these autocomplete suggestions that I'll have it, and we can just simply assign the data to our data. So we can simply assign the post which we have just converted or taken from the internet to our post that we have written over our MVVM. So this was mostly how we'll be dealing with the API request in our SwiftUI application. So if I run this project, so mostly what we are doing over here, we are just taking the data from the internet and then we are converting the data to our post object array, like post itself. So if I go inside the application and go to that feed section, we'll be seeing this data from the internet, whatever we are getting over here. Let's say like count is 665. We're having this like count as 665. So I have the MongoDB opened as well. If I change it to something else, let's say 1123 and update it and go back and come to the place again, I'll be having 1123 likes. I can mark them as, let's say, mark this one as 3. And if I go back and come to the application again, I'll have the last one as 3. So yeah, this way we can download from data from the internet and display in our SwiftUI application. So Xcode is complaining over here. So what we can do dispatch queue dot async and then we can put it. Or if we run this application again and go to that fit section, I'll have this data where I have this data which is completely coming from the backend. If we do refresh, we'll see 1132 like. Let's change the like count, or let's change this body text. I'm not sure if the body text and text both are same. Uh, yeah, those are not same. I mean, mapped exactly. So let me change this one. Title. If I do now back and go back there again. Oh, it's not changing. Oh, sorry, I was just changing the wrong places. Maybe this one. And see, this is getting changed. So yeah, this way we can integrate API call into our Swift project. So this was a very basic example how we'll be dealing with SwiftUI network call. So you can refer to this documentation and practice a little more and you will have the hands-on. I was also completely beginner to this session and started learning SwiftUI recently. I thought of sharing this knowledge with you guys. Thanks everyone.